Well, hey everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of CX and Coffee. My name's Justin Robbins, and I do this every single week alongside my good friend.
Marty Shaughnessy.
We talk about the weekend's goings on, we explore some coffee from somewhere in the world, and we jump in on a conversation around a topic that's meaningful for customer experience professionals. So if you found us and you're into any of those things, we're glad to have you here. And Marty, as always, so stinking good to see your face, my friend.
Good to see you, buddy.
So here we are. The Super Bowl is behind us.
hmm
Another year. How did the Shaughnessy family feel about the outcome?
We were happy about it. I mean, there's not really any Eagles fans in the house, so even though we're in Pennsylvania, yeah, no, it was. I wish it was a better game, honestly. I mean, watching a blowout is just never fun.
Yeah, it was surprisingly one-sided.
Yes.
Definitely more than we expected. We're Steelers fans, but we felt we're doing the right thing by rooting for the Eagles.
hmm
And even with doing that, like would have loved to see a bit more fight come from Kansas City.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I grew up in Massachusetts. My first 20 years I lived there, so I was a Patriots fan, and we had this golden age, which was really, really fun as a fan. And I never understood the hate for Brady or the Patriots. And then with the whole like the run that the Chiefs have done, and Mahomes seems like a great guy. I started to understand. I was like, oh, I kind of get it now a little bit. Why everybody's just kind of tired of like, oh, okay, let's just give someone else a chance. So, yeah, yeah. We watched all hours of pregame stuff, and it was Cindy and my daughter and I. We watched it, and it's a fun family thing. We made some good food, so yeah.
Let's talk about the spread. What was on the table in the Shaughnessy house?
We did some meatballs with gnocchi. We did some buffalo chicken dip. We did this Dorito taco salad thing that our
Oh,
friend Stacy makes. That I always have to like text her for the recipe, but it's got Catalina dressing in it and crushed up Doritos, and I mean nothing was. Let's just lay it on. There was some. We were using some celery and carrots to dip into the buffalo chicken dip, but nothing was healthy. There were some mozzarella sticks happened. You know what I mean? It was like one of those things. So it was good. It was fun. But how about you? What did you guys do?
I like it. We went over to one of our neighbors' house and kept it pretty low key though.
Okay.
Food wise, I felt like I needed to do something that was paying homage to the Eagles, so I made Philly cheesesteak sliders,
Nice. Good
and
call.
I was really, really happy with things until I followed the directions on the buttering the buns and putting them back in the oven. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I would
Hmm.
have left the rolls soft and just let the cheesesteak, onion, peppery goodness speak for
Yeah.
itself. Wasn't a fan of doing the butter brushing and whatnot.
Because it didn't crisp up, would it end up being like now you got buttery fingers kind of thing?
No, it did crisp up, and I just wasn't. I
Hmm.
didn't
Okay.
jive with me, so I was disappointed in those.
That's a bummer.
But we also brought. We've been doing these. I'm gonna call them loaded potato skins, but what you do is you slice the russet into little discs. You roast those, and then you put your cheese, bacon, scallion, sour cream on top.
Hmm.
They are delightful. Made two trays of those. I might have
Yeah.
consumed one of them by myself, but
Right. Right.
nobody's watching. Nobody's. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Nobody's watching.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Are you a commercials person? Were there any commercials that you were like, "Oh, that was really good," or "No, I didn't like that one at all"?
You know what? I really liked the Jeep one. I thought that one was good. I thought the Harrison Ford, um, big Star Wars geek, And then it's funny. Like I was just kind of like there's a bunch of them, and they start off, and you're like, what is this? What is this for? What are they gonna say? Are they gonna make a statement, or you know what I mean? And it just seemed like a good well made. There wasn't AI. It was just kind of like a likable actor talking to the camera. So I thought that was cool. That was probably my favorite.
I liked the Jeep one, so I agree with you there. I thought it was interesting that two different commercials featured people's mustaches ripping off of their face and flying. In the
Yeah.
back of my mind, I'm like, did some creative agency hit a home run by pitching two different brands on an idea, and one went, in, of course, that being Pringles, who went all in on the mustaches ripping off of the face. I don't
Right.
even remember who the other brand was, but a mustache definitely came off of a face and flew away.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the second one.
See, that all of that money for what? I don't
Right.
remember. If you're
Yeah,
watching this and you remember, we probably could Google it, but you can just throw it in the comments, and that makes it easier for everybody.
it sure does. Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm so in my pottery class, which we've talked about. I found that back in the day they used to make these cups, coffee cups, with a mustache guard, so that people when they drank they wouldn't get their mustache wet. So I'm gonna actually make one, and if it comes out all right, I'll send it to you so you have a little cushion between your upper lip fur, and so when you're drinking, instead of like getting stuff on here, it's supposed to keep it from that. So we'll see.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Okay, I
It
like it.
is.
I like
Yeah.
it. I try to
Something
keep
different.
mine trimmed so if there's like any hair that actually touches my lip, I just get really weird about it. So,
Oh, the Crosby. Like Crosby, Stills and Nash. There's like his would curve. Like I mean, there was like a whole. I don't know how. I can't take that.
no, no, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah.
Trying to think other commercials. Um, yeah, nothing else was there's just man, I go back to watching in the early and mid 90s, and I feel like it was just banger after banger with some of the commercials that came out.
Yeah.
Just not the same anymore. I feel something's less than.
I don't know if it's just getting older or whatever, but I agree with you. It just isn't the same.
Yeah. Last question I have about the Super Bowl, and then we can get on to the reason we're all here: coffee. Musical performances. Did you have a favorite of the night, or did you just tune them all out?
Uh, you know, I can appreciate what I saw, but that's not my type of music. So I just you know again getting older, I don't want to be like the grump. I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of music. Hip hop just isn't something that I listen to on the regular. Uh, I appreciated what I saw, but I didn't necessarily. There wasn't anything that was like I love this. You know what I mean?
What about John Baptiste or Lauren Daigle and Trombone Shorty?
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
it was cool. I don't know. You're a musician too. Do you go through and or I'm always like, all right, now is this person singing live? Or they you know what I mean? That's
Oh,
always like
absolutely.
that's in the back of my head. It's like you can tell sometimes when things are pre-recorded, or like the year that Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers played without his bass plugged in. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. It's like it doesn't really matter, but yeah. So that's usually what I get fixated on.
Yeah, wrong holiday, but this is part of the reason why I have a really hard time watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Is the canned performances.
Yeah.
I'd rather not see a performance.
Yeah, well, and I get it. I mean, there's lots of logistics. You know what I mean? Like getting there's no time for big long sound checks. You're moving all this stuff out, so I totally understand when you're trying to do a band and like people playing together and hearing, that would be a nightmare. So I get it in that sense, but yeah, it's lip syncing.
Yeah, and great choreography. That's the
Correct.
thing I appreciate the most. Is usually what happens with stage design and how is the whole thing choreographed. I pay attention to that more than I do the. I just write off the fact that they're if they have recorded a great album, cool. Then that's what I get to hear. What are all the other parts going on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean the fact of everybody like all the choreography that went into it. Like I said, I can appreciate the production of all of that stuff. It just wasn't something that I was like, oh, let me go, download some of those songs on my phone.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And now here we are. It's done. If
It's
you're an
done.
Eagles champion, you get to, enjoy this for a few months. And if you're not an Eagles fan, then hey, next season's right around the corner.
Get away for next season, right?
Yeah, that's it. Easy as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, he's getting ready. All right, so what's in the
Hey,
mug
I'm
today?
getting ready.
What are we talking about coffee wise?
I have been looking forward to today. A few weeks ago, Rocky McGuire, shout out Rocky, chimed in on one of my posts and said, "Hey, I've got some coffee for you." He lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, and recommended Deeper Roots coffee.
Hmm.
Went onto their website and found this amazing intro pack that they put together and send out. So I figured that's the one. I need to go and find out. I had a client in Cincinnati 2 years ago, and there was an incredible coffee shop that I stopped in. I don't know if it was Deeper Roots or not. I'm going to go and see if I can find out. But that coffee was amazing,
Hmm.
and I'm excited because I take Rocky's opinion on coffee in high regard.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
cool
that.
packaging for sure.
It is cool packaging, and we can kind of see a little bit about them. There we got what we're going to be trying on the box. And black, because that's the only way to do it. But Marty, I would love your help. After last week's three coffee extravaganza, we're gonna simplify and we're gonna go down to one for this week. But I've got three blends in here. I'm gonna describe the blend,
Okay,
and you tell me which one you think I should try today. If that sounds good to you.
that sounds like the easiest thing I'll do all week.
All right. So first, we've got their community blend.
Okay,
And the tasting notes on this are caramel, chocolate, and a syrupy body.
okay.
Next is the La Armonia Hermosa from Guatemala.
Okay,
Tasting notes are black cherry, pistachio, and cookie dough.
interesting.
And our third is the Shintanwane. I'm totally butchering that.
That's
This
all right.
is from Ethiopia.
Okay,
Tasting notes are blueberry, candied orange, and fudge.
hmm.
So we've got three coffees from Deeper Roots in Cincinnati, Ohio. Marty Shaughnessy, what one are we trying today on CX and Coffee?
You know what? I'm interested to see if that cookie dough comes through. So I'm going to go with number two, which I would not be able to pronounce or remember what you said. But I, it's funny when there's all those different words you can use for chocolatey, right? Because it's kind of like coffee and chocolate. So the fudge or chocolate syrup, all that stuff. But cookie dough, that's interesting to me. I want to see what's
What
going.
makes me so happy, Marty, is we did not coordinate this in advance, and I was really hoping you'd say that's the one you wanted to try. Cool. Now, what we're gonna do here? So I prepared for this. I've got my hand burr grinder here. I've got some water boiled. What we'll do is through the magic of editing, we'll make that process go by pretty quick here shortly, and then we'll get in on the notes. Actually have the farmer's name. There's all sorts of cool information on this bag. We're
Yeah,
gonna jump into it in just a minute. Let's grind ourselves some beans.
do it. You can maybe you can find the Benny Hill soundtrack right now, and I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but
Oh yeah.
you can just speed that up and just do your yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
That smells delightful. Very light colored bean that we've got in here. I can kind of get a good
Okay.
view of it. Oh my goodness. That. So this is the La Armonia Hermosa blend from Guatemala. or sorry, not a blend. Black cherry pistachio and cookie dough. It's delightful. I want to say the cookie dough might be the one that's cutting through a bit with the cherry. I don't know that I totally get pistachio, but I definitely get some sweet fruit in there. So excited for this. I will tell you, we have an electric grinder at home, and using one of these, which I did last week for one of the coffees we were doing, I ended up grinding on this thing, made me appreciate having an electric grinder. But these things really do a great job grinding things up.
Does that just keep going until there's no more resistance? Sorry. I don't want to make it any longer than it has to be.
Let's see how we're doing. Oh my goodness, it is so vibrant. I'm not saying I'm good, but
oh, look at that.
That's just about perfect.
Yeah.
I definitely poured too many beans. I've got a bunch of those left over, but you know what the beautiful part about this is, Marty? Just take those beans.
Yeah. See? You know what? A few weeks ago, I had put the puppy to bed, and I made a pot of coffee, and I came out in the morning, and the pot was clear because I had put the water in, the filter in, and set the timer, but I actually forgot to put the grounds on. I was pretty disappointed in myself.
That's a small detail.
Yeah.
Small detail there.
Yeah. It was not awesome.
So we're gonna make sure my water is up to temperature there, and while we do that, yeah, it looks like it dropped down a little bit. So we're gonna get that water back up to temperature. I want to talk a little bit about what's on this bag, and then we'll get this brewed.
Okay.
So they have the farmer's name written on the back here, which I know it's a little blurred, but the farmer, the region, the cultivar, and the process. So this is a washed coffee. Region is Santa Maria de Jesus in Guatemala, and this was roasted on January 7th. So it's about a month old, which is not terrible.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's definitely the things you're buying on the shelf are not a month old, which is one of the things I love about supporting local when it comes to coffee. We're gonna set this bag aside. Then we'll do another little speed up process here, because what we're gonna do. So I don't know that I've showed this or talked about this at all, but this is a Wakako Pipa Mocha. There are lots of consonants in all these words that I'm using in today's episode. And this is a travel press. So what's going to happen is we will fill this thing with water. I'm going to drop my little coffee basket in there. Let it sit about 2 minutes, and then you slowly twist it up. And like a press almost, it's going to pull through and just give you a delightful cup of coffee. I was telling Marty before we started filming today is that I travel. I've got my little travel kettle that I'm using. It's been awesome if you're looking for great coffee while you're on a vacation, or if you're just traveling of any sort. Really, really good combo. We can put links in as well if it's stuff you're interested in. I was talking to somebody. I love that beat. My water's done. Was talking to somebody as I was rinsing it out in the community kitchen here at the office, and they're like, "Where did you get that? I need that in my life." So, not hawking products here, but I do appreciate it. It's a great thing.
Justin will put a link in the show notes.
Absolutely. There's our steamy. You can't really see that. All right. If I get that wrong, there is boiling water that I'm pouring all over myself, so we're going to make sure we do that with accuracy and precision. Now we just wait. It's going to take its time. It's going to slowly work its way down to the bottom. We got bubbles.
So that pod with
Hmm.
the grounds in it, it's sinking to the bottom.
It's sinking to the bottom, and then I'll give it a couple taps, and you'll see a few more air bubbles, and then it's fully down. It essentially creates a vacuum seal. I'm going to
Okay.
pop the lid on this thing, let it set for 2 minutes, and then I'll slowly do the twist. It'll work its way to the top, and then once the two parts separate, I've got a fresh cup of coffee all ready for
Okay.
me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is cool. We should do just do 2 minutes of silence. See if anybody notices.
Really great episode, guys. Love that part in the middle, especially where nothing happened.
Nothing happened at all. Yeah.
Well, what's fascinating to me is, this thing with coffee has just gone through this, and you're not gonna be able to see it, but the water's clear. There's no indication, and I always get paranoid. I'm like, did I do it wrong? Is it not gonna work? And then on the back end, it comes out perfectly. Smarty, we've got the coffee in, and what I'll do is I'll start to do my slow spiral here.
Okay.
And this is great because if I, forget to do any type of my, regular exercises or, with learning guitar, I've got that thing, to work my
Right.
fingers. This helps me. This helps me, feel the muscles and, all the bits of my fingers and hand and wrist and
Okay.
forearm. It's worth it though.
Totally worth it.
Goes on and on and on. There
Yeah.
it is. And that just cuts loose. As you can imagine, it is freaking hot.
And so the base is becomes the mug. The mug,
Base
right?
becomes the mug. Yeah.
Yeah. How's the lip feel there? Out of
Has
10.
the
How's the lip feel, like drinking out of certain things or
I don't normally drink out of it if I'm being honest with you. It's not typically what I do.
so you're gonna transfer it?
I'm gonna transfer it, yeah. Okay, Marty, here we are after a way more intensive process than I imagined when I played this out in my head. We've got ourselves a cup of the La Armonia Hermosa Deeper Roots coffee. Notes of black cherry, pistachio, and cookie dough. One final bit is to pour it into the mug I've got here.
Okay. Looks a little
All right.
lighter in color, right?
Is a little bit lighter in color. The nose is very different than the bag. So on the bag, I definitely got some of the cherry and the cookie dough-ish. Here I get more nut. So the other note on there was pistachio, and it's interesting. It's definitely shifted now having it brewed that I get more of that type of profile on it.
Okay.
The sweetness seems to have been tempered a bit. It's not as strong as it was, which you would expect
Yeah.
shifting from the beans. And again, I mean, that was a fresh open for us. Some of the bags that we've done on here, usually I open it and then it sat a little bit. That was very, very intense. That I'd expect that to come down a little bit as well. But first sip, we don't typically toast people here on CX and Coffee, but for drinking the first official write-in, I want to toast you, Rocky McGuire. Thank you for sending Deeper Roots our way. Excited to give this a try.
Thanks, Rocky. Talk to me, Goose.
It's really good. It's really hot.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing. Usually don't drink it right from the pot.
No, but I'm glad it. What I can say about this coffee for sure is this all around is probably the freshest cup of coffee that we've had on an episode. From opening the bag, brand new, grinding the beans right then and there to brewing it.
Yep.
And I'm glad it was the case because this is an exceptional cup of coffee that yeah, I'm glad it's been handled with care.
Now, what are the tasting notes you got going on now? So I would think cookie dough, the representation there would be like a tad, maybe some vanilla or like a brown sugar. Obviously the chocolate with if there's chocolate chips.
Yeah. So no chocolate profile coming
Right.
through. It is definitely a lighter, more mild mouthfeel.
Hmm.
It does. I love guilty pleasure. I love raw cookie dough, and it definitely has the. I guess it would be the vanilla brown sugary. Just it's. Yeah, it's definitely kind of what you would expect from like the yeah, it tastes like cookie dough. I think the interesting nuance to here is there's a bit of acidity that cuts through it.
Okay.
So it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a treat or a dessert
Right.
on that sense. The because you've got that the the acidic mouthfeel cutting through, it does something really interesting to it that I almost get some citrus in there.
Hmm.
All in all, though, this is an outstanding cup of coffee.
Nice.
Really, really good. I don't know that I want to wait uh, and review these on another episode. So we'll see how patient I am. We may do one more. We may do one more here in a couple weeks. We're not going to let it go too long because I don't want to ruin a good thing. But yeah, holy smokes, Rocky, great recommendation. It was really easy for me to go to deeperrootscoffee.com and order this box. It got to my house in no time. And I'll tell you, this bag feels pretty much as full as when I opened it after that first cup of coffee. So depending on how you're wanting to brew this, if you put this into a French press or you're doing a small grind and a pour over, I think you can get quite a few cups of coffee out of these bags. So also kudos to them in terms of portion to value.
Hmm.
We'll go back and look. I've got a really bad track record of quoting prices on CXN Coffee. So what we'll do is when we publish the blog post and this episode, we'll give you the price if you were to go buy this on Deeper Roots website. If you just want to buy a bag of this instead of the sampler, we'll make sure you've got all the details to do that as well.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, that was so good. That's really good.
Very
I'm
nice.
happy. I feel like we've gotten more winners than not on CXN Coffee, which is a great pattern to set.
Well, since you're the one who has to do all the testing, we'll have to change that. I'll have to do some thinking about some getting making it a little more adventurous for you.
Wh- Here, I thought you were going to offer to do some tasting. I was like, Marty, I'll send this one to you. You can.
You know, if if I was a black coffee drinker, I would feel I have to put creamer in mine, so I don't. Not that I feel less than, but I don't feel like I'm judging it purely. You know.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. We'll find something for you, Marty.
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, 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 no. We're gonna find something. We're gonna
Yeah,
find something
yeah,
for you.
that's all right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. This now that we've got this coffee in my system, I feel so much better about a lot of things. So Marty, as we transition from Super Bowl talks and Deeper Roots coffee, I wanted to spend this week, I guess, tying into the theme of Valentine's Day, since that
Yeah.
is the holiday of the week.
All right.
And to do that, I want to share an email that I got from a mutual friend of ours,
Okay.
our former coworker, John Tusco, shot me a
Uh,
note.
nice.
And it's a little bit of a weird one. So I'll kind of share the context of what he sent me and then how this ties into what I want to talk about, and for those of us that are customer experience pros, what really matters here.
Yeah, I would expect nothing less from John, so it's got to be good.
Yeah, and I asked, I was like, you should come on and share the story. And he's like, I'll let you, I'll let you and Marty do that. So, that's fine. Anyway, John, thanks for sharing the story. Here's what happened. So he has been I'll call it loyal, SiriusXM subscriber.
Okay.
And he just went through the annual renewal process. And he told me that he had the realization that something that he thinks they did to make things better actually made him feel worse. One additional piece of context that I think is important to the story as I go on from here is that John works in sales. And I do think that his wiring as a salesperson has something to do with his perspective on this experience. But here's essentially what he said. He said, for years I played the same game. I get the notice that my bill was about to triple. I'd call in, go back and forth with a live representative, kind of doing this. One of the main reasons he listened to was because of Howard Stern. He said so. He's like, I'd pretend that I was willing to walk away from Howard Stern, and after a bit of the back and forth, they'd lower the rate. He said it usually took about 15 minutes, but every time he walked away from that interaction with the representative feeling like he had won. Right here, John, he had overcome
Right.
the system.
Sales training. Yeah.
That's it. So this year, renewal came out. The price was going to triple. So he went to call in and he couldn't. Based off of how SiriusXM improved the process, there was no more option to phone into someone and haggle. It was just a very simple chat process. He said, and worse, it was automated. He said there was no name, like they didn't even try to name the bot. There was no personality. And he said before he could even finish typing, it spat out a lower price. So he got the discount, but it didn't feel like a win for him. His exact words was that he felt empty. So he's like, this got me thinking, can something too easy actually hurt the experience? Is there such a thing as good, I'm using my words, but good friction in our customer interactions, right? We talk about things like customer effort score, reducing customer effort. Is there a case for making sure that we create and enable some level of effort to maintain this feeling of like they've won? So that's kind of where John left it, and I was like, gosh, it's Valentine's Day, so talking about customer love or customer loyalty, keeping customers committed, I was like, this is lots of greenfield opportunity for us to jump into.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Marty, to maybe get started from your perspective. Have you ever had an experience where a brand improved a process, but it actually made it worse for you?
Well, I mean, I think I've been pretty frank on this before. I mean, anytime I go, if I'm looking to, have a conversation with someone, or actually, you know what, I had something happen today. This is going to seem like I made it up, but there's a project management system that I use. I had uploaded something for a client. That client sent me an email this morning saying, "Hey, I went to download this. I tried 2 or 3 browsers, and I keep getting this warning," which is basically looked like there was some kind of security threat, like you were gonna get download, spyware or something. So I'm like, oh gosh, I'm sure that's never happened before. Let me go back in. Let me go to I went to the website. I went to look at the contact because I just wanted to find an email just to forward. Let me just forward this over. Yeah. Like, hey, this is what I got from a client. I assumed they would be like, oh, we had a glitch, or let us look at it. Well, as soon as I had to go through like 3 or 4 steps to find it. And then all of a sudden it was like, I clicked on something, and maybe it was just in the footer, and all of a sudden this little chat thing popped up, and I'm like, nope. It was too early in the morning. I was out. So to me, my as a user, like, I just am not on the chatbot train. I know it's supposed to improve everything, and everybody's like, let's get rid of people and its efficiency, and I'm sure I know we've seen some great solutions that are getting smarter and it's becoming more, helpful. I have a resistance that, so anybody who's implementing those things, I just, me personally, I find that as a wall, because what I think in my head is like, okay, chatbot's not going to be able to help me. So it's going to send me through a couple prompts. And eventually it's kind of like the old school phone where you're just like, agent, agent, no, agent, agent, real person. So that's, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's it. Unfortunately, that's where I am at these days. I play the grumpy old man on the show, and that's kind of where, that's what gets me worked up by improving the process of not letting me reach out to a phone number or an email. And if chatbot is the only way to go, then that's a deterrent for me.
Well, I think it comes down to understanding your preferences and how do you want to communicate with that brand. And for them, I think there's certainly lots of decisions they have to make on what's viable.
Right.
What does this actually cost to enable us to have a bunch of different channels for people like Marty to contact us? And I can understand why, from a cost reduction or simplification standpoint, businesses would say, hey, we're just going to force everybody into one channel. But you're right, that can cause a lot of negative thoughts, feelings, perceptions, or just negative experiences. So that's definitely a real thing. Thinking about my own answer to that is, honestly, more come to mind than not. I think often organizations couch cost savings or things that are all about their internal wants and needs as benefits to their consumers. And anytime that happens, that's usually when my spidey sense gets tingling, where it's like you didn't actually look at your customers' experiences or their feedback. It's obvious to me that you did this for you. And I think there's certainly, like, a business is a business, and you've got to focus on profitability and yada yada, all of those things. But you still have to have an eye on the experience. You need to make sure you're not actually making the bottom line worse in attempts to make it better.
Yeah.
What was interesting about John's example is, I think one of the things that it called out for me and for all of us as customer experience professionals, that we've got to be mindful of the psychology that's going on from the customer's perspective, not just about what they say, right? Because John would say that he wants a discount, but I think it's recognizing that people don't just want a discount. In John's case, like, he wants to feel like he earned it, and having the ability to negotiate, even if it's an illusion, gives that sense of control and empowerment. That's like, hey, I did something for this to be possible. It wasn't just given to me. And so I think there's an interesting aspect of how well do we actually understand the psychology and the other drivers and motivators of our customers beyond what they just say. And I also think it's important to recognize that loyalty with our customers doesn't just come from transactional efficiency. There's absolutely an aspect of emotional engagement that plays a part and that matters to our organizations. I think the dance for all of us, as we try to figure out, how do we make sure we drive loyalty, that we drive the right outcomes for our businesses, and in John's case for a renewal, is how do we make sure we're not just making it transactionally efficient, but we're also finding ways to tap into emotional engagement, because they're there. Even if we don't quickly see it or sense it, every interaction, there's some level of an emotional driver that's playing out inside of your customer's head.
Well, and Justin, doesn't that also feel like, by automatically lowering the price without having to work for it, it kind of like devalues your product, right? Like, at least that's how I would look at it. Because if John's talking to somebody and then they're oh wow, you know what, you're a really good customer, you've been loyal, let me reward you with this thing. I don't do this for everybody, but let me everybody plays the game, let me reward you with this year we'll renew you at this lower price, as opposed to like, please unsubscribe. Oh, instead of this amount, it's this discounted amount. Oh, okay. Well, you could have gave that to me the first time then. You know what I mean? Like, so I totally understand it kind of works against the product, I think.
It can. From especially if it's from a pricing discount, right? If that's the matter
Yeah.
of what it is, it can devalue things. And I think more than anything, this is really a lesson in understanding, are there parts of your experience where effort actually creates a perception of value and meaning and benefit to the customer? That's that's the question I want us all to wrestle with, as we think about this week's episode is, does your experience being effortless everywhere actually benefit your customers? Does it benefit you as a business? Or are there places where thoughtful inserts of, hey, in this case, we do want there to be some effort because it actually creates value for our customers and in return value for our business, and that's something that we should do. So it was interesting, John sending me that definitely got me thinking about it. There's so much conversation around, hey, we've got to automate, we've got to simplify, we've got to make it effortless, we've got to make it easy. And statistically, I would know that John's not alone. There are people everywhere for all sorts of businesses that are hoping to benefit and feel value from having to exert a little bit of effort. So that's my challenge. That's my question for all of us this week is, are there places in your experiences where it actually creates benefit by engineering some level of effort? We'll see.
Yeah.
But where there isn't a lot of effort, Marty? There's not a lot of effort at deeperrootscoffee.com, where I was able to quickly and easily go and get this sampler pack thanks to my friend Rocky McGuire. Again, so excited to have that coffee. I have finished this cup already, so it is just enough time for me to now go through my 15-minute brewing process
Yeah.
here again. Congratulations to all of you who are Philadelphia Eagles fans. If you're not, hey, I'm in that boat too. So there's always next year. And Marty, what do you say we do this again next week?
I'll be here.
Awesome. Well, until then, my name's Justin Robbins. I do this every single week alongside my good friend
Marty Shaughnessy.
You've been watching CX and Coffee. We'll catch you next time for a whole new brew.